Hello, and welcome to Our Ventura TV. My name is MB Hanrahan, and today our guest is Ed Elrod, lawyer and local community activist. Ed, thank you. So what I want to talk with you today is your participation in an organization called Gray Law, and that's gray with an E, an unusual spelling, but Gray Law. Could you describe to us what that organization is and what it does?
Gray Law is a nonprofit that provides low-cost, no-cost legal services for seniors.
Wow.
Any issue that has a legal nature for seniors.
And what it doesn't do is, I do have a list. Shall I go through it?
Absolutely.
Criminal law, litigation, and family law.
That's
so
correct.
it's advice, not representation. Am I correct in that?
That's correct.
Okay, so how long have you been involved? This is a local nonprofit, may I say, totally dependent on donations. And lawyers just say, oh, I want to give time to this, or how does it work? Are you personally contacted?
I'm actually chairman of the board. I was recruited by another member who felt it would be a good match since I do a lot of volunteer work, nonprofit work.
Yes, you do.
And I'm approaching seniority myself. So we ask, all attorneys are expected to do a certain amount of pro bono work a year.
Pro bono for free.
For free, Latin for pro bono. We still have latched onto and held onto a lot of Latin terms to mystify the general population into thinking that we know more about life and the law than they do. So we ask people, would you be willing to take one case a month, 2 cases a month, 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week? So we have lists of people who will assist. So if something comes in through the office that they don't handle, it gets referred out. In some cases, it's going to turn into a true representation matter, and then it's privately contracted.
Oh, okay, I got it.
But in most cases, we are preparing. The most common thing that we do is a power of attorney.
Okay.
People have to have somebody standing in their own shoes and representing them to either a healthcare provider or to an official governmental agency, state, county, city.
So it's like legally based advocacy. That organization knows what they're talking about,
Right.
so they can respond to otherwise confusing and possibly just like, I don't even know what they're talking about.
We provide a lot of advice. As we grow older, we kind of lose the ability to understand concepts that might be a little bit complex. As we grow older, we get into a lot of circumstances, situations that require special care, special treatment, legal relationships. So a lot of times people call and say, can you tell me what this is or what this means? Generally, seniors are very, very vulnerable, and they're preyed on in our community because they're shut-ins, a lot of them. They don't get out and about. They don't have as many contacts with family and friends that they used to. So they are targeted by a huge group of criminals who prey on the elderly, who prey on seniors in general. So someone will receive a phone call. I had a phone call just yesterday that was a referral. I signed a document and I was supposed to receive money by mail. Well, what did you sign? I don't remember. Do you have a copy of the document? They took it with them. Do you know what it was involving? I think it was my house. Something very, very basic like that, but apparently we looked it up. He gave away his house. So a lot of times people have no idea what they're dealing with, so we try to wade through the complexity of what should be or could be a simple relationship or a really, really complicated relationship. So we want to be able to advise them and say, well, this is not something that you typically would do in this circumstance. Give them advice, let them make their own decisions because we don't actually represent them, but just try to help them understand what it is that they're doing.
I want you to tell us a story of, if you can, of something that you personally experienced, but so I don't run out of time, how do people find Gray Law? Is it, I have a phone number, 805-658-2266. They look it up in the phone book. I mean, how do people even know find out that this exists?
You know, commonly in this arena, the most frequently used method of finding a lawyer is ask a friend, tell a friend.
Got it.
Do you know anybody who, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to services for seniors, when it comes to no cost, free services, people always know who to go to. Where do you go to find free this, low cost this?
Okay.
So most of it's word of mouth.
Okay, great.
I had really good time at Gray Law. They helped me do this and this and this and this. So those people tell their friends.
Okay.
People tend to remember there is an agency that helps with housing. There's an agency that helps with care. There's an agency that helps with legal services.
Got it. Okay. So,
Mostly word of mouth.
Well, great. A story? A personal experience?
Stories are great. That's why God created people, according to Noah Ben Shia from Noah's Bagels, because life was so uninteresting. And again, this is a story where the couple actually gave us permission to talk about this, so it's not a violation of the attorney-client privilege. We try to maintain the absolute highest confidentiality when dealing with client matters. Otherwise, you would never tell your attorney, your doctor, your accountant, your rabbi, your priest, the most intimate details of your life if you thought they were going to broadcast it. So
the discretion that's preserved is exactly the same as if they were paying for your lawyer services. It's just the same.
The attorney-client relationship attaches from the moment there's any communication, whether or not there's ever any money that changes hands. We have a duty to represent people and treat them as if they were in a contractual relationship. The contract attaches from the moment you tell me your name. Wow. I now have confidential information. So-and-so needed the services of an attorney. That's confidential. If somebody knows that you called an attorney, that's a violation of that confidentiality, because somebody else is going to say, why did they call an attorney?
Right.
It's risen to the level that they're considering litigation, et cetera, et cetera. So everything is strictly confidential. In this particular case, local couple owned a home, free and clear, worth $700,000-800,000. We're attempting to get a reverse mortgage. We're approached by a family member, and the case has been all over the media, so some people might recognize the case. And we're told by this family member they would never qualify for a reverse mortgage, but if they signed the house to him, he would put it into an LLC, which is a limited liability company, borrow money using the house's credibility, creditworthiness, and give them $7,000 a month. They did that. They received money for 4 months. Payment stopped. House went into foreclosure. Family member failed to make the payments. The holder of a second note foreclosed. We lost the house. We couldn't stop it in time. We were in the middle of litigation, but eviction court is a fast track, so we couldn't slow down the process. We went through an eviction trial. We actually had a jury trial. We picked a jury. The jurors believed that these people were lying, that they'd transferred the house out of their name to protect themselves from some kind of creditor or financial obligation. So we lost the house. Wow. In the meantime,
this was people that had initially approached you through Gray Law, and that's how you were able to,
That's correct. Called Gray Law and said, we got a notice that our house is being sold and we didn't even know that we don't own it anymore. What do we do to stop it?
Gosh.
Emergency, 24-hour turnaround on that particular case, because we had to stop a sale with the list pendants. And we did stop that sale, but the later foreclosure and eviction, we couldn't stop because of the fact pattern. Everything's a matter of facts. But a neighbor came in as a good Samaritan and said, well, gosh, maybe we could get some donations and find you a place to live. We did receive substantial donations. We bought them a mobile home. They walked away from the litigation. They said, we didn't realize how all-encompassing, how absolutely exhausting litigation is and what it was going to do to our emotional selves.
Wow.
So they dismissed the case. The family member is being prosecuted by the district attorney at some point. The money might be replaced. In the meantime, they have a home. They're in their 90s. Wow. Hopefully they'll live the rest of their lives in peace without any kind of intrusion from creditors and foreclosures and title agents and process servers and sheriffs and deputies and investigators that were really absolutely wearing them out.
That sounds so scary. All this work, I mean, just you telling me that story is so emotional, and I know that professional demeanor keeps one from taking all that on, but how long have you been doing this, and how do I put this? How are you moved to continue on in public service that way, in this community sort of volunteer public service that you do?
Well, my mandate, my goal, my mission is that if I can change the life of a friend or a family member or a client in some small way or in some major way, I've made a difference, helping others who are less fortunate. If I can use my legal skill, if I can use my knowledge and the agencies that I work with to achieve some goal for someone else and make their life a little bit less painful, a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable, solve a legal problem, I feel like I've done something meaningful in life.
I wonder, it just seems like this is such a huge need that people, you know, you hear about like elder abuse and And again, I guess that would go under estate planning or dealing with wills and such like that. In a perfect world, besides like an organization like this, isn't there, I mean, it just seems like it should be bigger, it should be grander, it should be, I don't know, available to everybody. I don't know, I'm not sure.
Generally, my experience has been that as the boomers age,
yes,
we have a huge expansion of a segment of society that is all of a sudden reaching seniority.
That's what I'm sort of going toward.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I just read a book called Being Mortal by Atul Gawande because I had a family member who was sick and dying.
Right.
And he was trying to bring meaning to the concept of death and dying in terms of what happens when we lose mobility, when we lose our health, when we lose our vision, when we lose our money, when we
and you lose all you lose your friends that we're so used to. Like, what does this mean? Like, I call my friends all the time to like help me figure things out, and then what if I don't have I have a tiny little or no friends?
Exactly, and that's what happens. The world of seniors shrinks. A lot of people are shut in because of mobility issues. Lost vision, they don't drive as frequently. Lost hearing, they don't communicate as effectively. So the area of gerontology, I think, is going to be expanding in the coming years because so many seniors are boomers also, and boomers are very demanding. We are the boomer generation. I'm a boomer. So as we become seniors, hopefully we'll use our own skills to improve the circumstances so that we don't face this kind of situation where people are preyed upon by building systems, creating systems with many of the nonprofits that I work with outside of Gray Law in order to provide some stability and some continuity for people as they do lose the ability to advocate for themselves and to handle their own legal affairs, to handle their own medical care, to deal with insurance and automobiles, registration, anything that involves a transaction or a complex concept where you sit down and you look at a piece of paper and you say, I just don't understand what this is. Call somebody.
Right. But instead of just pretending like this is never going to come.
Right.
Like I feel like you just made like a huge list of like right here, right now. These are the things that we could possibly do or think about or remind people that we know to think about so that as much as we're grateful that Gray Law exists, that's not the final resort of just like what just happened. Unravel my life for me, help me figure this out. What would be the number one, like kind of, I don't want to say preventative, but looking forward kind of advice, I know you just made a list, that you think is the most important to have people start thinking about now and or to watch for the elder people that are in their lives? What do you think is like the most important thing they should watch for or educate themselves to?
I think the important thing is to make sure that there are instructions. Set of instructions so that when we are no longer able to tell the people around us what we want, in terms of health care, in terms of burial for the ultimate goal, in terms of our homes, our stuff. What do we do with our stuff when we don't need it anymore, which is our euphemism for talking about when we die? Most people do not have a simple estate plan. Attorneys love the fact that probate is a public process in the court system because the fee structure is set by law. So you can avoid probate because everything that we do is designed to do three different things. Avoid taxation because after death it's the number one obvious in life. Keeping your stuff private. Nobody in the world needs to know what you have, what you own, what you owe. And C, most important, making sure that the people you want to receive your stuff. So even I tell people who call on the phone, sit down and take your own pen and paper and write down in your own handwriting, I, Mary Smith, want to leave my pet rock to Ellen. I want my house to go to such and such. I want my collection of, et cetera, to go to so and so. Sign it and date it. It's a valid testamentary document to give away stuff. That's the number one issue where people, all of a sudden somebody falls, they have an injury, they have a stroke, they can't speak, they've lost their voice. Who knows? What does this person want? What does this person want for care? Making sure there are powers of attorney.
And on that, unfortunately, we have to end this segment. So, Gray Law, Greylaw, look it up. And thank you. Thank you, Ed, and thank you for watching Our Ventura TV. My name is MB Hanrahan. Stay tuned.